Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am working on week 15 in my 2023 Project Life album. I went to Spotlight, I got myself a few new goodies. I got a few bits and pieces from the Woodland Grove and Gingham Garden collection, and so that's what I'm going to work with today. First up, Spotlight did not have any paper from either collection, and so I'm just going to kind of work with what I've got. It's mostly embellishments. I did get this kind of papery pack, and there are a few bits and pieces in here. It is definitely paper and not cardstock, so I'm going to have to back a few of these pieces. But I figured there was more than enough in here to use for Project Life as well as a bit of journaling. So I'm starting with these bigger pieces. I mean, they're roughly 4x6. I'm not using any 4x6s this week though. My 9x12 page protector is all 3x4 spots. So I'm going to have to cut a few of these down. I started going through the kind of smaller pieces and then I thought, no, I'll just work with the larger bits first and see where I come out. And I did decide to, I mean, not purposefully, like stay away from the pinks, but I decided to go with, I guess, a more traditionally masculine color scheme this week. A lot of blue, a lot of green, and some pops of kind of neutral and yellow, just because this was Shane's birthday week. So the photos are kind of like focused on that rather than necessarily kind of a lot of events throughout the week. So I started with my journaling. I grabbed one of the more neutral papers. I just traced out a 3x4 card onto there. It's just like anytime I cut down white cardstock and I've got scraps big enough to either cut down to 4x6 or 3x4, that's what I do. So I've got these little bits and pieces handy, ready to go. I just pencil lined around that so I could run it through my typewriter. I gotta say, I went through the typewriter super nicely compared to when I'm trying to force like Project Life cards through. Went through like butter. It was gorgeous. I just adhered that down onto the cardstock just so it's a little bit easier to put into the pocket. I didn't do that with all of these. I'm gonna wait until I put them into the pocket, which at this point I haven't done while I'm doing this voiceover. It's still sitting on the desk beside me here. If it's difficult to put these more papery pieces into the pockets, then I will back them. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave them as they are. So these are the 4x6s that I'm kind of trimming down. I am centering them, like centering the photos on them and trying desperately to kind of center how I'm trimming them out, just so that it stays like it's kind of how it's intended to be designed, or how it's designed to look. So I'm trying to keep it kind of in the same design style, just trimmed down to 3x4. So both of them have kind of little elements in the center. I'm going to continue to use those just as if they were like little elements on my page, and then adhere the photo down on top, and I'll add some extra elements onto there as well. This one's a little bit different though, because I wanted to have the hole punched edge. You can see it's, again, very handy having that kind of papery paper, very thin paper. I can create this sort of folded ruffle. So I've basically used the whole width of it. I just adhered one side, adhered the other, and then pushed down and created that kind of fold in the middle of the excess paper. So it gives me like this really fun textural element and required absolutely zero effort. It was totally fine. I used these alphas. I'm not sure they're the best choice. It's a very subtle kind of title card. The tone on tone effect, it's there, a very pale kind of wood grain color on this very neutral kind of, I guess it's like a newspaper print behind it. So it's a lot more subtle, but the paper, I really loved it because it already had that kind of printed label on it. I'm going to add my date stamping onto there. And so just so that those alphas did actually stand out a little bit, I've layered them on top of the white space in there and added just a tiny puffy sticker heart in between, and then I'll just stamp the date underneath. It only just fit, but it fit fine. So that's a really simple title card. I probably could have added like stitching to stitch that fold down, but to be honest, I didn't really have the time to fuss around with this spread as it is, because there were so many bits and pieces into this paper pack. It took me a little bit longer than usual to put this spread together anyway. Now there are a few kind of white elements on here, like that label, and there's quite a lot of white in my photos, so I decided that I would add some white in here, and often I don't love doing that, mixing white with an off-white, like those kind of those printed newspaper looking pieces in there are, but I decided to add some white in there just to kind of lighten and brighten things up a little bit. I added some texture to it though to kind of keep it in this, I guess, like vintage looking vibe, or give it a little bit of kind of detail to it. So I just ran both of those 3x4 cards through in an embossing folder. It's kind of a floral looking one, so I thought it worked with the theme. And then I went ahead and like ripped apart the sticker book because I did not love the packaging, don't love how it's all stapled together, makes it really hard to look through. So I ripped that all apart, took the staples out of it. Now I just got sticker sheets. Lots of these stickers are, I don't know, like see-through stickers rather than cardstock stickers, which doesn't work super well for me, but I loved that Stay Fierce one on that little photo of Pearl there having a big old kitty stretch. Thought that was perfect, and just added a couple of little hearts. So I am going to add a few touches. I mean, I couldn't help myself really. I'm going to add a few touches of pink in here. I've got 3 little puffy sticker hearts. I'll add a label or something, but just to kind of balance things out, I want to add a little bit of prettiness in here too. So the last 2 cards, I'm going to create kind of a couple of clusters. I kept everything else pretty simple for me on this page. Sometimes I go a little overboard when I've got brand new things like this to play with, but I wanted to create at least one kind of cluster down the bottom right hand corner, just as like a birthday marker for Shane, and so that kind of cluster didn't feel lonely on the page. I am going to add one up the top here with this photo as well. So I'm pulling in some of the colors that I've used throughout the spread. I've got the darker green, and this is really more of a kind of more of a khaki green rather than a yellow, but it's as close to yellow as I can get for this collection. So I'm just adding a couple of kind of green and yellow pieces to tie it in with the rest of the spread. Now I'm going back through those cardstock stickers in that sticker book, because there are a few, only a few, tiny word stickers or tiny phrase stickers. I'm going to add them into the labels there. So I think that one says a most perfect day, and I just had to trim a tiny little bit off each end, just the blank space so that it would fit inside that label. And I'm going to do the same thing again on a couple of the other photos as well, just adding kind of tiny word stickers in there to add a few little sentiments. So my date, birth date, age marker here is going to be a little bit more simple, but again I wanted to add some of those colors in there, so I have added a little yellow kind of ticket piece in behind one of the black and white frames, which is from that papery pack, and all of the stickers in there are kind of like washi tape-esque, so kind of see-through. I pulled that off for the frame, but the little green bow is actually a washi sticker as well. But I decided just to adhere that down with tape runner without removing the backing so that it looked more like a flat sticker. Now I'm going to use those same alphas again, a very subtle effect, tone on tone there, and then I just added one of the yellower florals from that sticker book. So here's another tiny touch of pink, just a little bit of a label. And again, this piece was a sticker, but I want to be able to see the pink. If I put that washi sticker, peeled the backing and stuck that onto the blue background, the pink would disappear. I'd end up with a sort of purpley blue, and that's not at all what I'm going for. So I just adhered it down. Because they are like washi stickers, they are pretty stuck onto that backing. I don't worry that that's going to come off at any point. I feel like they're pretty stuck down. Now this little one was going to have the same issue. It's kind of a clear sticker. It doesn't have a backing, obviously, so I just adhered it onto the back of one of those off-cut pieces so that you would actually be able to see the wee spot of pink. Says life is better with you, which seems appropriate for that photo. Shane being a clown, can never get a nice face in a photo. Always being a clown makes me laugh, and so that's an appropriate little sentiment for that one there. So I did that same thing down the bottom. I added a label with the backing and then a tiny word sticker. And then before I went too crazy and added too much else, I called this one All Done. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, I'm going to leave a couple of videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you again really soon. Bye.